All right, so picture this. You just walked out of an interview. You feel great, you crushed it, answered every question perfectly. But here's the thing. What if the most important part of that whole process actually starts right now, after you've left? Yep, the interview isn't over just because you walked out the door.
So, what's the first thing most people do? They shoot off a standard thank you email. You know the one. It's polite, yeah. It's what everyone expects. And let's be real, it almost always gets ignored. But there's another way, a much better way. It's called the value-add follow-up. And this thing, it's strategic, it's totally unexpected, and it is so valuable. Honestly, it's what separates the candidates who get forgotten from the ones who become unforgettable.
Let's dig into that standard thank you for a second. Look, sending one isn't bad. Nobody's saying that. But man, is it a massive missed opportunity. It's your chance to stand out from the pack, and most people just don't take it.
I mean, try to put yourself in the hiring manager's shoes for a minute. They might be getting, dozens of these emails? A simple thank you just tells them one thing. I have good manners, which is nice, sure, but it does zero, absolutely nothing, to actually help them decide to hire you. It just doesn't move the needle at all. So, how do we fix this? Well, it all starts with a huge shift in how you think about it. You got to stop seeing that follow-up email as just a polite formality. Instead, think of it as your final pitch, your closing argument. This is your shot to make yourself the inevitable choice. Okay, so what exactly is a value-add follow-up? It's way more than just saying, thanks for your time. It's an email that shows them, hey, I was actually listening. I heard the problems you're facing, and guess what? My brain is already spinning, already coming up with solutions for you. You see how the message completely flips? It goes from a passive, thank you for the interview, to an active, I get your challenges and I'm already on the case. It completely reframes you in their mind. You're not just a candidate anymore, you're already acting like a colleague. All right, so we get the why behind this. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's get tactical. We're going to talk about something called the relevant asset strategy. This is your playbook for proving you're the real deal.
So, what does one of these relevant assets actually look like in practice? Honestly, it can be super simple. Let's say the manager mentioned they're struggling with their workflow. Boom, you could send a link to a tool that could help. Or maybe you write up a quick 3-bullet-point summary of a time you solved a really similar problem. Heck, it could even just be a link to a market report you stumbled upon that's totally relevant to what they're trying to do.
Here's a fantastic example of how you could word this. Notice the tone here. It's super helpful, not arrogant at all. It zeroes in on a specific problem they mentioned in the interview and offers a real, tangible idea. And that little line at the end, hopefully it's useful for you regardless, that's gold. It makes it a no-strings-attached, genuine offer of help. What you're doing here is brilliant, and it works on two levels. First, you're showing you have a bias for action. You're not just a talker, you're a doer. And second, you're making them feel like they're already getting value from you. It makes that mental leap from seeing you as a candidate to seeing you as a colleague feel so much smaller, almost like it's meant to be. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great, but does this stuff really work? The answer is 1000% yes. Let me tell you a quick story about how this exact strategy turned a hard no into a job offer. So, there's this guy, Jason. He's up for a huge sales role. He goes through the whole process, does an amazing job, but in the end, he's the runner-up. The company went with another candidate who just had a little more experience in their very specific industry. And we're not talking about a we'll keep you in mind situation. No, he got the official rejection email. The thanks, but we've gone with someone else one. For pretty much every other candidate on the planet, that's it. Game over. But what did Jason do? Did he just shrug and move on? Nope. He decided to play the long game. He shut off one last email, a pure value-add follow-up. He was super gracious, acknowledged their decision, and then he pivoted. He remembered they talked about expansion plans, so he went out, found a great market report on their competitors, and sent it over, even highlighting a specific page he thought would be useful. Even after being rejected, he was still helping them. And then, plot twist, about 2 weeks later, that perfect candidate they hired? Yeah, they backed out. Suddenly, the job was wide open again. So now the hiring manager has a big problem. This is a critical role, and he needs someone, like yesterday. But did he repost the job ad? Did he call back the recruiters? Nope. He picked up the phone and made just one call. And guess who he called? Jason. Now, why? Was it just because he was the runner-up? No way. It's because Jason was the only person who was still top of mind, the only one who kept providing value even when he had nothing to gain from it. He'd already shown them he was part of the team.
Jason's story is incredible, right? But it does bring up a really common fear. How do you do this without being annoying? Because there is a fine line between being persistent and just being a pest. Don't worry, there's a simple playbook for this. We'll call it the rule of 3. It's easy. First, within 24 hours of the interview, you send that powerful value-add email. Simple. Then, if you pass the date they said they'd get back to you, wait about a week, then send a super polite, quick check-in. Still nothing? Wait 2 more weeks and send one last note, a moving on note, that basically says you're still interested, but you're also respecting their process.
This framework is perfect because it gives you 3 professional reasons to get in touch. It keeps you on their radar without ever crossing that line into being a nuisance. And you know what? If they don't get back to you after that 3rd email, you can move on with your head held high, knowing you did everything right.
And this really cuts to the core of the whole thing. Look, being professional, that's table stakes. Everyone is going to be professional. But being genuinely obsessed with solving their problems, that is so rare. And trust me, it's what every single hiring manager is secretly hoping to find.
So next time you walk out of an interview, here's the question to ask yourself. Is my follow-up just going to be about showing good manners, or is it going to be my final move to prove that I'm not just an answer? I am the inevitable solution they've been looking for. It's totally up to you.